with my husband.
Welcome back to Marketing with my sick husband today. Dan's not feeling the best today. He's feeling a little bit sick. Everyone in our office has been a bit sick, started by Leo, our designer, and it's finally made its way to Dan.
I appreciate you calling me out straight away because I was going to pretend like I'm absolutely okay from the start. I feel like I can hear it.
I can hear it in your voice. I think actually someone called today, it was a client, and they were like, "You sound terrible." And I was like, "Yeah, unfortunately you're sick." So you and Eddie will be staying over that side of the couch.
We will. We won't come over the other side, and I think we'll let you talk for a lot of today.
Oh, will we? You just let me know if any of the markers you don't want to cover because you're feeling shitty. You just let me know. This is actually our first time recording since I've been back from Dubai.
Yes, it is.
It's actually our first time recording since Arik, since the holiday, and now I've been back for 2 weeks. We filmed a few in advance, and now we're back.
And it's good to be back. I think we've had a few weeks off, and podcasting, it takes a lot of time and effort. And we're putting a lot of research into every podcast as well. We're not really rocking up and going, let's just talk about whatever. So it's very time consuming. I think the last couple of weeks have been nice, refreshing it back. And we've got some really cool topics we're going to hit now. I think we're starting to get a little bit more niche too, which I love.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to kind of dive a little bit more into real estate, which is really exciting. Should we start? Do you have a recommendation?
I do.
What's your rec for the week?
My recommendation is if you're having a bit of extra stress or anxiety or your heart rate is going through the roof, to stop drinking coffee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you speak from experience on that?
I do. I realized that on a stressful day, my stress was amplified by extra coffee. And I realized I could have 2 or 3 on a bad day or a good day, however you want to say it. And I realized, damn, my heart is really, really pumping right now. And when I get extra stress, it's like it makes it worse. So decaf coffee actually isn't that bad. There's my rec.
Nice. I like it.
What's yours?
Look, I think everyone was expecting this, but I would say mine comes off the back end of Dubai, obviously. I obviously went to Dubai to see one of my best friends. She turned 30. One of my best friends. I would say my best friend. She turned 30. We had an amazing trip. We kind of had a preempted conversation before I went on the trip. And this whole trip, we said, okay, we're just going to capture as much content of each other as absolutely possible. If you see someone else doing something, just pull out the phone when you feel necessary, get so much content. I would say go on a trip. It doesn't even have to be like to somewhere outlandish like Dubai. Could be the Gold Coast, could be anywhere. And literally go with someone that's going to capture so much content of you and vice versa. Like I have now so many things in my camera roll. My content was insane when I was over there. I'm never going to have a week like that again, I think. But I was there for 10 days. Across that 10 days, my Instagram numbers hit over 175,000 people. I brought in over 1,000 new followers into my social sphere, connected with a lot of people. I was really vulnerable. I put out a lot of content that just felt really authentic to me. So my recommendation, if you're struggling for content, just go away with someone and make the pact. We're going to go in, we're going to shoot so much content of each other. It's going to be really authentic. And then we're just going to see what happens off that.
It looked like you had a lot of fun doing it.
I had a lot of fun, honestly. Can I say, and I've told you this, but something felt so utterly profound about the desert and Dubai. I just felt like when I hit there and when I hit that sand and when I watched that Arabian sunset set, I don't think I've ever experienced something so beautiful in my life. And I don't know, it sounds super, cliche to say it changed me, but it really made me go, I want to see different parts of the world that I didn't think I wanted to see before I went there. I really liked Abu Dhabi and I really liked the desert. I really liked the traditional spots over there. So I think for me, yeah, that was just incredible.
I'm very jealous, but also very happy for you.
Should we dive into today's topic?
Let's do it.
Okay, so today's topic, we're going to break down the marketing funnel. Wow, how exciting. Sounds super interesting. The reason this has kind of come into play is I've obviously done a lot of content based around this recently on socials, but I'm having a lot of conversations with agents about the marketing funnel. And really when a new agent is joining us or we're talking about a new business starting, branding and marketing for their business, it's all kind of epicentered around the funnel. And for me, it's there's a lot of myths about the funnel and I kind of just want to break that down today and I want to simplify it. So for me, just firstly, I want to explain the funnel, the marketing funnel. So you've got top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. So traditionally in marketing, it's like tofu, moth, and then boff, which is just like top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. So at the top, it's all centered around awareness. So people don't really know you yet. Your social media reach, your video content, your brand, your storytelling. The goal here is just to get attention and build like a familiarity. I can never say that word. Can we have
Familiar. Oh no.
no, no. You try to really lean in there. Familiarity? God, it's just such a word that my tongue hates. Middle of funnel. So it's all based around consideration. People know who you are, but they aren't quite ready to take action. So this is like retargeting, email nurturing, behind the scenes content, proof of work. So the goal here is just to really build trust. You might get a few conversions at this stage, but it's really just about building authority. And then your bottom of funnel is all based around conversion. So people know who you are. They've seen your content everywhere. They've seen your ads. They've received your emails. This is all about like taking action. They're ready to book an appraisal. They're ready to request a call. They're ready to list their property. Really, in sense of your marketing here is all around like lead magnets, call to action, sales calls, like everything being super direct, and you just want to convert them into your client.
Yeah. And I've learned a lot about lead funnels over the last 5 to 10 years, obviously hanging out with you a lot. You do. And it's something that I think is really important. We've developed them through the gym days. We've probably, there's always a funnel in place. So if we look at AKG, that we want to spread that net, that funnel as wide as we possibly can to narrow down. Because do you agree that the wider the top is, the wider the bottom is, or what's your thoughts there?
I think you always want to feed the funnel. Like, I have an analogy, and you've just skipped like a million steps ahead of my show notes. But the analogy basically is like you don't want your pipeline to dry up. So it's like, and analyze it as like honestly a funnel that water's going through the top. If you stop pouring water through the top, water's going to stop coming out the bottom. It's the same for leads. If you stop feeding leads through the top of the funnel, like then no one's going to hit that bottom of funnel and no one's going to convert.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I've got a real estate example. So for an example, if we're going top, middle, and bottom, someone sees your Instagram reel, that's top.
Mhm.
They then watch your auction highlights for a few weeks, that's middle. And then they fill out what's your home worth form. That's the bottom. This is a very simplified version of a funnel. It's going to take a lot more steps on average to move a consumer to the bottom of the funnel. However, that's like the general principle.
Yeah, I think like for me, a massive mistake is people want to shorten the funnel all the time. So a myth I've got here is I can't afford an all funnel step. I need leads now. So the truth is you actually need a wider top of the funnel if you want to spend less. So this is what I was talking about before. So smaller budgets can't rely on like brute force retargeting and brute force marketing. So a lot of the time I'll actually sit with people that will say, "Hey Tia, so like I've got a budget. It's like I'm gonna say $500 to be generous. It's never usually $500, and I wanna get, like, leads now. So, like, I wanna get leads now. So let's start running conversions to my CET tool. Let's, like, be super direct. It is my job to be very forthcoming with those clients and with those agents that we work with and say, "Hey, look, you're not gonna see leads in day 1, and if you do, that's a massive bonus." Like, it's gonna take a lot of time to nurture that lead all the way through to actually get them to convert. I've spoken about it before on the podcast, but I remember, I think like early 2000 and like 2018, when you can run a Facebook ad and you could run $100 behind that and you would get lead captures. That's just where it was at. Not as many people were using Facebook marketing to reach their ideal consumer. So therefore it was cheaper and much shorter to market. I'm pretty sure if you scroll through Facebook now, it's like every second or third post is an ad of some kind.
Yeah.
And then you've got influencer marketing, which adds into that. You've got, like user generated content. You've got small business content. Like there is so much advertising now that it takes way longer to convert someone. And I think what people think is like, okay, if I have a smaller budget, I'm just going to try and go for like the low hanging fruit straight away. You might get one or two, but like the moment that dries up, you've got nothing else replenishing that. So just a key line I want to hit on is like if your pipeline is dry, it's usually not a conversion problem. It's a top of the funnel problem. So like again, I really want to paint that picture of like the water funnel. If you stop pouring water through the top, water's going to eventually stop coming out the bottom. And it's not because down the bottom, the hole's blocked or the hole's too small. It's because you stop pouring water at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you can look at it, correct me if I'm wrong, businesses that maybe let's go straight to the call to action, so the bottom of the funnel. If we look at real estate, a key thing there is they hire maybe a VA designer and they go, just listed, just sold, and they put that on socials. They go, well, we're doing something.
Mm.
Like for me, I feel like maybe that's a okay start. However, would you, in your opinion, would you be investing more into the top of funnel before you did that?
Okay, like if you took it as a traditional real estate situation, is you list a property, so therefore you're putting that property out, I would assume on realestate.com. Realestate.com has a massive top of funnel like marketing campaign. That's why they charge what they charge to real estate agents, because they are investing heavily in their top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and then they're retargeting that through. So it's an endless loop. Domain is the exact same. Those two big players can charge what they charge because they have analytically and strategically thought about their funnel of marketing. They know they are hitting a consumer at every point, whether that's a buyer or a seller. So really, when you look at it, it comes down to like a familiar set. When we go to like list our home, actually, no, let's talk about when we go to buy a home.
Yep.
Where are like the top 3 places that you're going to look at to buy that home? Where do you want to know? We want to buy a home, let's say in Mount Warren Park. Where are you going?
I'm probably going to go REA Domain.
Mhm. Oh,
You give
sorry.
me the finger. Oh, you got me.
I said that. REA Domain.
Maybe like the Ray White portal.
Okay. Non-biased opinion there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Non-biased at all there, but let's just say the agency's
Yeah.
portal.
Okay, cool. So you're going to whatever the agency's website is, and then you're going REA and Domain. They are in our mind because they do strategic marketing and they do it over and over and over again. So it's just like they are in our familiar set because we're seeing them everywhere. I think if I was an agency and I was putting up just sold, just listed, to a point that will work because already like you're saying just sold, just listed. But like I want people to think no one's really going on Instagram to see a house that's just sold or just listed. If that's all you post on your social media, what value are you giving anyone to follow you? Like you're giving me no value because I could have just found that elsewhere. So I think that's a massive thing to look at is like, what can I give value to? So like if I was a real estate agent and I look at this all the time, like maybe an idea I would do, and I think we had the conversation last week. You saw it was like a $700,000, $800,000 home. And you were like, okay, maybe we should change the way we market these because they're all starting to look the same.
Yep.
Rather than leading in and just, applying some music and some fast transitions for the house, as an agent, I would go in and sell the benefits of the house. Okay, what return on investment are you going to get if you buy as an investor? When you come to the open home, make sure you check out XYZ feature. Like I would just be super specific to the house, but I would try and give value back to my audience at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a big conversation we're having a lot at the moment is like, I think the best storytellers will be the people that create the most engagement and probably broaden that top of funnel.
Mm.
If we can tell better stories, there's always a story in every house. I think even if we look at an absolute, my favorite word is a shitter. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
3 bedroom, 1 bathroom. You know what it is. You've seen them before. Even that has a story, and who is that going to target? Is it going to target investors? Okay, maybe the story is about making money, and there's heaps of development opportunity here. Or is it a first home buyer, first couple? That's all I can get into. So can we tell the story of that? Or is it a couple of blokes that are coming in and they want to renovate? It's their first renovator construction project. There's always a story to be told, and I think if you can tell it better than the rest, you'll actually broaden that funnel. People will trust you, and then they'll eventually come down into that pipeline.
Definitely. I completely agree with that.
So should I move on to what to post at each stage?
Yep, definitely.
So if we look at top of funnel, I've got a couple examples here. We have like local suburb reels about the suburb, what's happening in the area. It's really like brawn. You're making everyone else collaborate with you, like the local butcher, the local cafe, you name it.
That's definitely opening. Like we've spoken about that so many times on this podcast, but that is opening like your top of funnel massively.
For sure. You got behind the scenes videos, so showing people who you are and what you're doing. Like we're here hanging out with Eddie. We're at a day in the life, you know, it's fairly broad. It's not really targeting anyone. We've got funny, trending agent content. If you're doing some funny skits or something, again, it's just like to get yourself out there. Like, hey, check this out. I've got this personality, I suppose. Just listed walkthroughs and then personal stories in terms of branding. So heaps there, but it's like it's not directly targeting anyone specifically. It's just kind of making people become aware of who you are.
I think as an agent, it's like really you don't have, okay, it's not like you have this, like, we're not a clothing brand, right? You aren't trying to like target this one specific person that has all of these trends. For the most part, especially in Australia, our homeowner demographic is really broad.
Yeah.
Like, that changes so much. Whilst you might be hitting certain points, like, okay, if we're looking at a seller that may be considering to sell in the last 90 days, we would look where their search traffic is. Have they been looking at refinancing their loan? Have they been looking at comparable sales? Have they been renovating the home? Have they been shopping at Bunnings? We can look at those traits. But for the most part, when it's at top of funnel, you really just want to get your name out there as much as possible with who you are and really hope people gravitate to that, because people aren't going to work with you if they don't like you. That's a massive thing.
Yeah.
And I've said that 100 times over. It's like you're going to get a lot of fans, but you're going to get a lot of haters. And that's just the catalyst of both. So I think top of funnel needs to be really strategic in the way of like, you're just being authentically yourself and then you're casting that net out as wide as possible. The filtration can come down in the later steps.
Yep. Perfect. So then you look at the middle of the funnel, so the consideration phase. I think you look at the likes of testimonials. Okay, so people have got to know who you are, and then they go, "Oh, okay, there's social proof.
Mm.
People are actually talking for you. It's not just you talking about yourself. Like, hey, I'm great. I'm Jerry, the local agent, and I'm going to be the most professional, respected guy in the neighborhood." It's like other people actually talking for you. The social proof, this is huge. One of our major content buckets we always talk about is, you can be a social media star all day. However, if you have no social proof that you're selling anything, people are going to
I
lose a bit
think
of
this
trust.
comes down to, like, we spoke to an agent last week who, we kind of sat down with the potential that they would be joining AKG. And they said, oh, they spoke about another agent and they turned around and they said, oh, I'll be honest, guys, like my perception was that agent was selling a lot more than what they were. But when I researched, they weren't. That's where social proof comes in. So, okay, we look at that. Top of funnel, you've seen that agent, you've gone, oh, wow, they're looking like this. Middle of funnel, you've gone and done a bit more research and gone, oh, okay, hold on, there's no social proof there.
Yeah,
So, like, that's the perfect connection there.
for sure, for sure. There's also educational content. So again, we've brought people into the funnel. We should take a shot every time we say the word funnel in
Oh
this
my
episode.
God. Okay, we'll count back after.
So educational content, you've brought them in. They know that you're an agent. They've started following the journey, and then you start saying, "Hey, just so you know, this is the value of your home in this suburb." All of a sudden, you're providing value. People are like, "Oh, okay, I'm interested in hearing this." And
Which is
it's
so funny. Do you think most agents would think educational content was top of funnel, not middle of funnel?
yeah, possibly,
Mm,
possibly. Yeah, I agree. It's not. It's probably not broad enough education. It's not hitting everyone.
no, I think it's like, I would say education is definitely middle of funnel, but a lot of people just go, okay, top of funnel, that's like the first thing I should put out there. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, I would say that's like your mid tiers.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Mm,
Then you've got the likes of auction clips with commentary. So, again, it's more social proof that you're out there, you're doing what you're saying you're doing. And then my last point here is marker reports like that are emailed out. And so this isn't a direct call to action again. This is like a just so you know, this is what's happening.
yeah,
And that's another point. We actually haven't touched too much on email marketing on this
I
podcast
know we
series
need to
yet.
do an episode about it.
We've done a lot about socials, a lot about content and media, but email campaigns are still a huge part of all this.
Definitely. Email campaigns, SMS marketing,
Yeah.
definitely. We should actually
Billboards.
billboards, yes, definitely. What have you got for bottom of funnel? So for conversions.
Yeah, so a couple of points. We have the instant appraisal tool, lead form, which I know you do a lot of. It's super important.
Yeah.
And this is obviously when they're coming into that final stage. They've seen you, they trust you, they like you as a person, that you're giving them education like, okay, you know what? Now that it's time to sell, I've seen this person for a while now. I actually want to go further into this.
Mm.
Book a call, so call to action post or scarcity message. So only 2 appraisal slots left this week. Whether that one would work, maybe.
I think it would.
You reckon?
I think if you were out there enough and you had followed a funnel very strategically and people knew, oh, wow, that agent's so good that he only has X amount of appraisal slots this week, I think that would work. But you've got to reverse engineer it very strategically. Like, because what's the biggest thing in that industry? If you're not first to like do the appraisal, you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
You want to reverse engineer that. You don't want to like make someone wait too long, but you also don't want to become across as like too available. We would find that with our gym bookings back in the day. Like we would have so much availability. And if you go to our website and you would go, okay, I'm going to book a massage, and there's like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 a.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., you go,
Yeah.
they have no bookings. So I would strategically go in and block out certain points to make it look like it was busy. So I would go in and go, okay, our massage therapist is going to come in from 9 a.m. I'm going to block from 12 to 5 out. And then I'm going to put like a random little lunch break in her with that. And I'm going to focus on like booking those times out. And then I'm going to extend it. And I would go through and do that. That probably comes from my salon marketing days, is perception means so much. If someone feels like, oh, it's, it's a little bit booked, it's a little harder to get into, then they want to get in. I don't know if it would work every time and you'd have to really build yourself up, because I think you don't ever want to say no to an opportunity, especially in your early days in real estate. However, there could be a place for it if you had built your marketing up enough and your reputation up enough.
Yeah, for sure. It's so interesting the confidence that people have when they're successful. And
Mm.
it's like if we could actually emulate that from the start, would that actually help people build their business quicker and build trust? You're like, okay, well, they're not going to just be here in 5 seconds as they're desperate for it, but they'll come on an agreed terms.
Mm. I think what makes that hard is the amount of volume of agents that are in our market space. And like,
True.
we know the best agent is not the cheapest agent, but then when you're going up against, say, two or three people there, you will almost do anything to try and reduce that as much as possible. And I think people negotiate on comms, marketing, things like that. I'm, a bit old school where I think if we put more parameters around who could actually be a real estate agent in this country, then we could actually have more quality. But that's just my opinion.
I don't think that's old school. I think that's new school.
Okay, I like that.
My final two are like DM triggers. So
Yeah.
send us your street name for a free report, and then like the likes of pricing guides or downloadable resources. Like it's pretty, you can tell people are interested. They
I feel
want more.
like not as many people in our industry, which is so funny coming from like, okay, in the marketing world, in the marketing industry, lead magnets are like the biggest thing,
Yeah.
right? Like download this free guide, download this, masterclass, workshop, live webinar, whatever it is, it's massive. In the real estate industry, it's not as much. Like you're technically like your number one free download that people will throw out is a CET instant online market appraisal. Because like that's what they want to know. That's the number one thing they want to know. So I think we could do maybe more lead magnets in real estate. Again, very strategic. I said like it was like maybe like a year ago or over a year ago when we are at the last real estate agency, was like things like, partner with like a broker, and then maybe partner with like a broker and a lawyer, and then like hold an online webinar where people could like find out information. I think first home buyers are really in that situation where they want as much information as they could get. So that's kind of where you could do more of those things. I also just want to touch on like we've obviously gone top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and like what to post at what stage. You are constantly posting and creating content for each one of these funnel stages at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's no like, okay, this month I'm focusing on my top of funnel and next month is my, you need to be constantly feeding every stage. And you just need to be very strategic, knowing, okay, maybe this week has 3 points for top of funnel in my content plan. It has 2 points for my middle of funnel, but I'm heavily focusing on my bottom of funnel. So it's got, 5 pieces of content on bottom of funnel.
Mm.
So I think it's like there's many stages that you're posting for at one time. It's not like a straight line.
Where would you start?
I would obviously start at top of funnel.
Okay, just asking.
I would definitely start at top of funnel. But soon as like, okay, when I say I would start at top of funnel, you need to make sure your bottom of funnel is already in play.
Yeah.
Like whatever that is, like you need to make sure it's very easy to contact you. It's very easy to get an online appraisal. It's very easy to book an appraisal. It's very easy to work with you, because if the moment you feed that top of funnel, that person could shoot all the way to the bottom. It depends on the type of consumer they are.
Yeah.
They could drop all the way to the bottom. And if you have nothing there waiting for them, they just fall into the abyss. And usually the way the internet works is they fall into the arms of another competitor.
True. Sure.
So I put some points here where it's like how to know when your funnel is broken. So I've got signs here that you're like a top heavy funnel, right? So you're feeding your funnel so far up the top, but there's really nothing to convert them down the bottom. And that means you got high engagement, but you got no listings and no conversions. Everyone loves your content. Everyone's like, oh my God, your content's great. Like you guys are so great, but no one's calling you.
Yeah.
You are so top of funnel heavy. It's not funny. You're going to fall over.
Yeah, you're probably not providing enough value to people to go, okay, I genuinely trust this person for their profession rather than just their general.
Yeah, just their general content, like their vibe. It's great. Super, like lots of engagement, but it's not equaling out to conversions because you haven't nurtured them at middle of funnel, and then you probably don't have anything at the bottom.
Yeah.
Signs you're bottom heavy, right? So signs that like you've got your CTAs, you've got everything else in place, but you're not feeding them at top of funnel. And that's like you only post hard CTA content and it gets ignored.
Yeah.
So you're only putting out ads and it's getting ignored. You might be click throughs, you might get things there, and there's no conversions. Now, there's 2 points to this is when I say you're bottom heavy, but also like, is your bottom heavy content effective as well? So like, are your call to actions effective? If you would know, so okay, as an example, you're running a CTA ad to get like an online instant property appraisal. I would say your ads aren't converting if you don't get any click-throughs. Like if your click-through rate is like, 200 clicks at an acquisition cost of like $1.50, you're not hitting it on your marketing. But if your click-through rate is like 32 cents or below and you've got over 1,000 clicks, but you're not getting conversions, that means you're bottom heavy. People are clicking through and they're doing the process and they like your ad, but then they're just going, no, I don't know. Like, I don't think they're the one.
Yep.
Or like, nah, I don't want to do it. He's just going to harass me because you haven't nurtured them to go, you know what? If he calls me, I'll just have a chat. I'm sure he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
And again, it's just like low engagement and inconsistent pipeline. So if you're getting low engagement, you're probably really bottom heavy.
Yep.
If you have middle of funnel leaks, that means you have no nurture. People forget about you. You post once and then you disappear. You don't retarget anyone and you have no consistency. That's it. That's your middle of funnel leak right there. If you're like on one week and you're posting a lot and you're super consistent, and then next week you just fall by the waistline, you've got no ads running in the background to support you whilst you're not showing up on socials, you got a lot of middle of funnel leaks, I would say.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense. People got to get busy.
Yeah, definitely. People have to get busy. So my wrap up here is like, your funnel is not something that you can shortcut. Like it's something you can scale. I think that's the biggest thing. So I've got, don't post randomly, post with purpose, match your content to your funnel stage, and always be filling the top, like absolutely always. I think that's a super simplified way to look at the marketing funnel. And every brand, every business, everything in this world is based around this very simple marketing terminology of how a consumer is nurtured to eventually buy, to eventually list, to eventually become a brand advocate. It all follows this same process.
I think it's really put so simply. When you say it like that, it's as simple as put yourself out there, make sure people know who you are, show them that you're good at what you're doing, get them to work with you. There's your 3.
That's it. And I think if you look back and go, honestly, take it to like any real world situation, go, okay, those Nikes, when did I make those decisions to buy those Nikes? Okay, total real world example to finish it up. We have just looked at buying a new car. We're at the stage in our life where we have to buy a new car. Dan and I went straight to Hyundai in our local area. And I said to Dan, in my familiar set of brands, my 2 ones are Kia and Hyundai and Toyota, but they were the 3, right?
Yeah.
Kia, because I've driven a Kia for years and it's so reliable. Hyundai was there, and then Toyota. We go, we meet with the guys there, we have the conversation. I said to Dan, I really like a Kona. That's the car I like. We leave the dealership after having the conversation and we're like, let's just do some more homework. We see, was it 4 Konas or like Hyundais on the way home? I think we saw a Santa Fe, a Kona, maybe 2 Konas and another Hyundai.
Yeah.
We then clock on a conversation when we get home that we say, okay, Hyundai's the only dealership in Springfield Lakes. Then we turn around and go, have we ever wanted a Hyundai before? No, we haven't. We have been marketed a Hyundai because everyone in the area drives a Hyundai. So you just get this like conception that, okay, Hyundai is super reliable, which it is if you do the homework. It sits in like the top 4 safety ratings. I've done the homework.
No, that's important. Yeah? Not speed.
Not speed is not my thing. I want safety. However, we look and like, okay, our neighbors across the road have a Hyundai. 2 doors down, they have a Hyundai. Like the guys down there have a Hyundai. There's like 7 Hyundais on our street. That has happened because we have seen it repeatedly for 12 months that they were at the top of like our familiar set. So I think look at that at your own marketing. Be at the top of someone's decision. Like when they decide to sell their house, it's not like because they've seen you on that day. It's because subconsciously they've seen you every day relentlessly show up and show up and show up to the point where when they make that decision, you and I 12 months ago weren't buying a car. But over the last 12 months, that's what we've seen. And then automatically we've gone, where are we going to go? Hyundai, because that's what we've seen. So I think it really, the simple turn is just like relentlessly show up and be consistent.
What a podcast. Nice work.
What a podcast. You did really well. How are you feeling?
Pretty crap.
Thanks for listening.
Marketing with my husband.